Hey there, Tuesday morning, and I was out yesterday working on the bandsaw and kind of undoing something I did before. When I set it up, I made the wheels coplanar without the blade on it, which is wrong. You know, I built a bandsaw 10 years ago, and you forget these things, right? You really need the wheels to be coplanar when the bandsaw is on, when the blade is on and it's tensioned. That's when they need to be coplanar. Okay, so you can see when I put my stick on here, it looks pretty good. It's not exact. One test though is if it'll run backwards and the blade will stay on, or stay in the same position is perfect. Right, and this one's working well. You spin it backwards, you spin it forwards, it's staying in the same position. It's not rolling forwards, it's not going back, and it's not coming off the wheels, which is probably the most important thing. So, as for the third video on this, I don't have enough done for the third video, and I haven't started editing the video yet, but I do have a small project that I want to get done before I put out the third video, and I'm going to be working on that today. And the other reason is that the second video in this series didn't do particularly well. The first one did. It broke over 200,000 views. I think mostly due to the title and the thumbnail. Again, you know, if you can get the catchy title and the catchy thumbnail, you'll get the views. It's as simple as that. You know, so, like I said, as long as the video is worth watching. I also want to talk briefly about the last video and reaction I got from some people saying that I'm nitpicking, or, you know, I'm splitting hairs. And I mean, you can look at it that way, right? But in my mind, and I have a lot of experience using table saws, and I've experienced kickback and flickback, what I'm calling flickback, many times, you know, over my many years of using table saw. I've been using a table saw since I was like 12 years old, which is not yesterday. It's worth distinguishing between the two. And the reason why you would want to distinguish between the two is so that you can guard against them in the correct way. You can assign the amount of risk involved to each one correctly. You won't be living in terror of something that's relatively benign. I know that's fashionable today to do that, but here in the workshop, you know, there are things that will bite you. Everything has the potential to bite you. It's just how sharp are those teeth and how aggressive that dog is. And when it comes to kickback, actual real kickback, where the piece gets caught between the blade and the fence, or binding on the blade so much that the blade really gets a solid grip on it, that's a pretty vicious dog. Whereas the other one is kind of like a chihuahua with a bad attitude. It can nip you, you know, it can bark at you, it can make you frightened, but it's not in the same league. It's not in the same pound as that big, savage Doberman is. Okay? And this is the reason why I talked about it. I think it's very important to understand the distinction and guard against the one that's way more dangerous. And be aware that there is a way more dangerous situation that you really need to be guarding against, and not worry so much about the other one. I see guys scrambling to move the work, like the fall off, the offcut, away from the blade, when you really shouldn't be messing with that unless it's in the way or it absolutely can catch. Because if it's just sitting there and it's not in the way, let the blade stop, then move it. I've said this in videos before. That's the safest approach. Because even if the blade does catch it and push it back, it's not going to be anything like what happens when it catches between the blade and the fence.